like that. But that would be a contemplated component of the proposal.
I totally agree.
And I think that it's important that we hire individuals back or hire individuals who are going to be revenue producing, and that is what a zoning enforcement officer is. They help us produce, they help us to stop violations in the town, as well as increase our revenue by securing monies through the collection of fines.
Right, and as far as zoning, the rental registration is very important, and that's up for renewal now, and our one officer is very overwhelmed. It's a public safety issue. So I would support that too if we can afford it. And by law, Liz, we would have to hire back the employees that work for us first before we hired anyone else. They have preference. So that would be the case.
Thank you. So there is a memorandum in your materials. I believe it's included at item 2, possibly 2A, labeled. No, it isn't labeled. It's dated January 19, 2011. Right. Titled Budget Transfers. Budget transfers which are needed to balance the budget, and that should be budgets, including the special districts, for 2010. Okay. So I ask you to examine that, and then we'll vote. Or pose any questions.
That was actually attached to the...
It was already voted on.
I thought it was voted on already, but it's January 19th, 2011,
Right.
budget transfers, and then there's a second piece.
Yes.
So what you're saying is we did not vote on the second piece yet.
I
That's
have
right.
it as a vote.
Nope. Pardon me, ladies. With respect to what we voted on the
Budget transfers.
budget transfers, again dated January 19, it was labeled item B. This item is not so labeled.
It's attached.
Pardon me.
Right, so we voted on it. We got it.
Well, I thought we voted on it, but for clarification, I wouldn't mind voting on it again. And this would be part 2, the budget transfers needed to balance the budget for 2010.
So described.
Okay.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second?
Councilwoman Hudak seconds. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Item 7, award of Fox Hill Water District bid. With respect to this special district, we've put a certain matter out for public bid. We've had the engineers and special districts coordinator, Levon Bedrosian, I and the town board examine the bids, and I ask that we defer this for a later meeting rather than vote on this matter this evening. Levon, is time of the essence with respect to this matter?
Yeah, we have the bid will actually expire Monday if we don't approve it tonight.
Yeah.
We have to go back out to bid.
Well, with respect to the matter itself, which is addressed by the bid.
Well, it's something that was mandated by the Department of Health 5 years ago, and it's taken us 5 years to get to this point. So I think that's something we need to start to work on or move forward on.
Yeah.
We have
sorry.
I again request that we defer.
Could you say that again, Levon? I didn't catch the last.
The Department of Health mandated that we make this change to the district, and it's taken us 5 years to come to this point. So we had 9 bids on it. I think it's a well-qualified bid, so I don't know what we would defer for, but...
Now, my understanding is that Chazen, our engineers, had said that this was the lowest, well, in their paperwork, they said the lowest responsive, but the lowest bidder.
Right.
So this was the lowest bidder.
Yes.
And from what I'm reading from the Chazen companies, their recommendation through Senior Project Engineer Michael E. Fanning is that this is a low bidder who has done other work for the town, and he was at Blackberry Hill. So when comparing the bids, it was noted that for 3 of the bid items, Southeast submitted bids valued less than 50% of the average bid for the items. Apparently, a Southeast representative indicated that the proximity of their facilities to the work site and their shop fabrication capabilities were the reason for a bid significantly lower than the average for the pipe fabrication bid item. Chazen finds no reason to exclude the lowest responsive bidder for this project and suggests that the town award the contract for this work to Southeast Mechanical Corporation. And they also included a completed notice of award form. Chazen is to provide the town with construction services, and they will closely monitor expenditures and compliance to the design plans as the work advances. So this is something that apparently there was a bid dated December 8, 2010. So the bid, by the way, is $99,495. There were certain conditions of compliance, and from what I'm hearing, we also have a listing of other bids. Apparently, Southeast Plumbing was the lowest bidder by, looks like $5,000 approximately, and then it goes up from there. So,
Up to 30,000.
yeah, so my sense would be, armed with the knowledge that Mr. Bedrosian is saying that this is it, we'll have to rebid and do this process over, and it's taken 5 years at this time, that I would be for now moving forward with this project. We had a similar situation with the, as everyone knows, with the landfill, and it took over 20 years, and we ended that last year, and everything worked quite well. I think that we need to move forward instead of delaying, and if this is the lowest bid, I wouldn't want to take a chance that if we have to rebid, or pardon me, send out for new bids, that people are going to come back and even bid higher. You know, now they know. So my sense right now is I think that it's important that we move ahead on this.
So you'd like to make a motion?
No, pardon me, Ruth. Will, I have a question. Is it something that, would we have an opportunity to adjourn to executive session this evening to discuss litigation and similar matters? Pardon me. In
Do you have a
particular,
specific item of
litigation.
discussion that falls under the rubric of the exceptions from the Public Open Meetings Law? Yes, you can adjourn on a motion, seconded and duly passed, to executive session to come back to regular session.
But it could
And
not, it
we-
could not
we-
be on
could we-
this,
We
though.
could adjourn to executive session at this time.
Well, this is a contract matter that presumably it is one of the matters in which can be discussed in executive session. If you want to discuss this particular award of this contract, as long as it's stated, I think you can discuss it in executive session.
Thank you, Will. Then I move that we adjourn to executive session. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
Motion carries 3 votes to 2. We're in executive,
Who was the third?
Councilman Cullen.
I want to hear their concern, so I said yes.
Thank you.
With respect to the agenda, we'll briefly adjourn, we'll be back, and then we'll conduct business as described in the agenda. Thank you. Thanks for your patience. From executive session. Right, we're ready. I move we exit from executive session. Is there a second? Councilman Gross seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
We're out of executive session, and we'll be conducting business as set forth on the agenda for the balance of the evening. So are there questions for Levon, or should we proceed?
Right.
I'm
Like I said,
ready to
I also want to advise the board that if this does get delayed and we go out to bid again, it will be more expense to the residents of that district.
Understood.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, is there, with respect to the contract as described, award of Fox Hill Water District bid, is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Gross seconds. Roll call vote, please, Ruth.
Councilman Cullen?
Yes.
For me.
Councilwoman Hudak?
Yes.
Councilman Yee?
Yes.
Councilman Gross?
Yes.
Supervisor Wright?
Abstain. Motion carries 4 votes.
4-0.
To 0
Passes.
with 1 abstention.
And
Item
reason
8.
for abstention?
Pardon me. Pardon me, Ruth. Item 8, fee schedule for 2011. You have in your materials a proposed fee schedule for calendar year 2011. It enhances certain features and embeds the recommendations of various department heads. Are there questions? with the understanding that we can adjust this as we go forward
Right.
during the year.
No, I'm willing to support these fees.
Okay, so we'll make a motion?
I move that we adopt the 2011 Town of Southeast fee schedule as set for pages 1 through
You second it?
8,
I'll second.
1 through 8.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Pardon me.
Almost done.
Item 9, Comcast complaints. Pardon me. Again, I'm turning in late. I had a cold. With respect to Comcast and the certain issues have surfaced from our constituents who are using this service with respect to certain features of the service. And as we've looked into it, we've ascertained there are two principal components. One is an overarching upgrade of Comcast's facilities and their services, and a second discrete component with respect to a few households, which may number 500 or more, with respect to the impact of the winter on certain hardware components of Comcast's infrastructure. Comcast is aware of these failures or near failures with respect to their equipment. Comcast is in the process of repairing and replacing that equipment as necessary. And would anyone like to add anything to the update?
I think the one thing that I discovered when dealing with Comcast is to contact their corporate offices in Pennsylvania. I do know that Councilman Cullen did a great job in contacting, I don't know where he contacted this individual, and clearly he'll speak for himself, but apparently there's an issue that's apart from weather and other things. So I know for one, I just wanted to make certain that everyone knew when I had a lot of problems with Comcast, we called the corporate offices in Philadelphia and wouldn't stop speaking wouldn't stop until we reached the vice president, his office, and all of a sudden something happened. So if worse comes to worse, we probably would do well to have all of you find out in Philadelphia, the Comcast headquarters, and just keep on calling. But I do think that Councilman Cullen did a great job in ascertaining to this point one of the what sounded like more definitive answers for about 1,500 members of our community. Bob?
Right, just, I've been made aware that there's been numerous issues with certain people with Comcast with the service. Personally, I haven't had any problems, but I guess it depends on the neighborhood you live in. Through the Carmel Comcast office, I was able to be directed to a woman who's the government liaison for government and community relations. She's up in Berlin, Connecticut. But I spoke to her, a very nice woman. She looked into it, and apparently there is a problem with what is known as a node, which is a control box that, just want to get it right here. Each node runs for like 500 houses, and what they do is they convert the optical light signal to the RF radio frequency. And there's about 3 of them that are apparently bad in Southeast, which would be 500 times 3, 1,500 people, give or take, that may be having service issues with Comcast, which is a lot. They're aware of it. They said within the next week or so they're going to try to replace these 3 boxes. They're quite large, quite expensive. The other issue is, and what I made aware of, is when people are calling to complain about their service, apparently the people on the other end of the phone aren't aware that there's these issues, that it's not an issue with the individual household. So she's going to try to make sure people are, the service people are aware who are answering the phone calls, that it's not an individual problem in their household, so people don't sit at home waiting for Comcast to come, which has been happening, and then, the technician comes and says, well, I don't know what the problem is here, because the problem's not in the house, the problem is coming from these control boxes.